Oh my god. So I just caught up on One Punch Man, and I don't even really know what to say right now. My mind is still physically recovering after the ethereal level abuse that it's just been dealt. The assault that Murata has played on my senses has left me partially freaking disintegrated and slumped in my chair, but like the true freaking degenerate I am, and just like Denji with Makima, I'm literally begging for more. This fight is the greatest thing I have ever read in terms of just pure hype, unrealistically good art, and a satisfying freaking ending to the battle, which is something I'm always extremely grateful for these days. But of course, if you guys are new around here and want to see more stuff just like this once a week, where I go over whole arcs, fights, or just entire stories in way too much detail, then make sure you hit that subscribe button, and also be sure to let me know what series or fights you want me to cover in the future. But anyway, just a quick recap of what's happened in the moments leading up to this climactic battle right here, because it's literally insane. I'm not going to go over everything, because obviously this fight, or these fights with this Monster Association arc, have been going on for the last like 70 chapters or so, but in the moments leading up to this moment right here, like it's actually insane how good this fight is. The hero, who I constantly dig on for being overrated and just ass in the first place, Pig God, showed his true potential by doing the most insane eco play of his entire life, and swallowed all of the heroes who were around the battlefield just moments before they were killed. Like, this guy literally flies through a tsunami of water and swallows everyone. It's just so freaking insane. With all of the heroes safe inside of Pig God, and after Garou defeats the freaking monolith that is the Sage Centipede. By the way, if you want me to cover this entire arc, or the entire One Punch Man story in general, from the moment like the anime ended, then smash that like button to 5k likes, and I'll make sure to get it done before the end of the year. Anyway, enough of me creaming over the story. But back with Garou, after he lays out the centipede, he observes the surroundings and doesn't notice any S-class heroes. He comes to the conclusion that they have all been taken down, and that it is time for him to reach his ultimate goal: to become absolute evil. However, as he's wondering what happened to the evil ocean water monster, a sudden feeling of anxiety comes across him. To Garou's surprise, Saitama lands behind him and asks what he's supposed to be. Although Garou at this point doesn't realize Saitama's actual identity, he still answers the Bald King's question regarding what he is, by stating that he is a monster who will cast all of humanity into the depths of despair and become absolute evil. Saitama is confused though about whether Garou is evil, considering he helped a helicopter escape from the Sage Centipede just before. But Garou reasons that he needs witnesses to spread fear and to let people know that he is stronger than any hero or monster, stating that absolute evil correlates with absolute strength. Garou then tells Saitama to leave and quit his job, as he will annihilate both the monster and hero association. He then, in our typical evil villain stereotype, rambles on about his plans of utter domination. After listening to Garou, Saitama begins to leave without acknowledging him as a monster, which leaves the jacked up Garou just utterly confused. Frustrated, Saitama explains to him that the only reason he is out here in the first place is because he went out of his way to complain about the noise, and now, because of that, his house has been completely destroyed. Due to this random set of circumstances in Saitama's eyes, he's extremely upset and says that now he would rather blow up the entire planet, making Garou shiver with his words. As Saitama leaves, Garou calls out to him, saying he'll pay should he underestimate absolute evil, and charges at him with a punch. Unfortunately for him, Saitama is just frankly unbeatable, and with an impulsive punch, he knocks Garou back before the latter could land the hit. After being punched, Garou manages to remember Saitama, identifying him as the one bald guy that he's run into several times before, which is obviously just hilarious to me. I love how all the past scuffles or interactions, I don't know really what you would call them, between Garou and Saitama have just been Garou getting completely and utterly abused by an unaware Saitama. It's just too good. Anyway, now the main battle can begin as Garou finally realizes who this goat of a baldy truly is. Now having recovered from Saitama's punch, Garou prepares to properly begin fighting him. They begin exchanging blows while crossing kilometers in just moments, reaching far into the upper atmosphere of the sky. Saitama attacks Garou with a punch aimed at his head, but Garou now, having literally ascended, manages to dodge it before axe-kicking our baldy into the ground, causing a huge section of landmass to instantly rupture, sending rubble shooting out. When Saitama stands up onto his feet, Garou leaps down towards him with a hand chop, striking his head directly, causing a forceful impact on the surroundings. However, the hand chop is not enough to phase our boy, who retaliates with a simple headbutt that shatters Garou's forearm. Despite this, Garou manages to regenerate his forearm and attempts to punch Saitama. However, the caped baldy is faster and manages to punch him back first. After being knocked back a considerable distance by Saitama, Garou's body, in response to his anger, undergoes a mutation that increases his size and stature, as well as his strength. At this moment, Tario, remember that like little weeb of a kid who was a mad hero fan, had the whole book and all, well like now he's just a mad Garou fanboy at this point of the stories, which is like dope and all, cause like so is everyone else obviously. But anyway, just before this point, somehow he had managed to evade all of the other heroes trying to flee and made his way up behind the bulked up demonic Garou. He then tells him that he is a hero to him, which annoys Garou, who tries to explain again to Tario that he is not a hero at all. Yet, even after what Garou says, the boy still insists that he is the greatest hero to him, and tells Garou to stop pretending to be a monster. Saitama slowly comes up to the two of them and comments on the terrible things Garou has done, like murking heroes, crushing dojos, and now playing monster, causing this innocent kid to break down and cry. As Saitama takes his steps towards the hero hunter, Tario tries to stop him from further fighting the hero. However, Garou still lays out Saitama and punches him hard in the head after getting provoked. Though, as per usual, Saitama is completely unscathed, even after taking a punch head on. He then boldly, and like the true Chad level bold king he is, reassures a shocked Tario that Garou will not be able to hurt him. Angered, Garou tries to kick Saitama, but is immediately slapped away by the hero as if it was nothing. Back with Tario, Saitama asks him if he'd like him to stop but not kill Garou and return him to normal, to which Garou solemnly nods in agreement. Which is like so damn wholesome, man. I love seeing these little bits of like actual human moments from our psychotic little baldy. It just goes to show that he still has a bit of heart left in him somewhere. So finally, it's just the two big bad boys standing there, and Saitama questions why Garou is acting like a monster despite previously having helped heroes. Garou tries to reason that he was merely using them to further his goals of absolute evil. Yet, after Saitama casually lumps Garou's absolute evil together with world peace in a randomly coincidental way, Garou angrily charges at him. He manages to parry a punch from Saitama, then using the momentum, he hand chops him right in the side of his face and lands a punch to his head before elbowing him in the stomach, all done within the fraction of a second. When Saitama grabs Garou's arm, the enlightened hero hunter performs several lock-on moves that eventually hit Saitama in the hip. Garou instantly follows up and proceeds to use his Godslayer instant attack, slamming his foe into the ground with a flurry of monstrous punches. However, Saitama, having evaded the attack, soon emerges nearby after digging underground and throws a massive rock at Garou, while asking the hero hunter if he's able to avoid his punches due to his special martial arts skills, to which Garou confirms while shattering the rock with his freaking jointless rotating arms. Garou attempts a barrage of attacks on Saitama, but the hero manages to dodge, prompting him to remark that Saitama has amazing reflexes and agility, but still lacks skill and has plenty of openings, which is just hilarious. Like, Garou bro, you need to focus on yourself first. Claiming to be able to read all of Saitama's moves now, Big Brain Garou declares that the hero will lose due to his lack of technique and being a complete amateur, before sending him absolutely flying and crashing into several buildings with his Godslayer ascending attack. Instantly after this just unfathomable feat, Garou catches right up to Saitama and uses his great fudgin, which I hope I got right and didn't mess it up, cause this attack is just absolutely insane. I'm gonna be calling out the art for this entire video cause it's just freaking god tier at this point. Look at it, the buildings lift up and then slam together, it's so good, and believe me, this is just the freaking beginning of the stuff. This great fudgin sends the big baldy crashing through more buildings, lifting them up off the ground and ultimately pulverizing them into nothing but dust and smoke. Believing he has won now, Garou states that Saitama may have incredibly tough skin and bones, but he cannot train his internal organs, which Garou believes to have been damaged by his attack. However, to his surprise, Saitama emerges completely unharmed. It is then shown that Garou, in destroying the buildings and following in the way of absolute evil, has accidentally saved 5 Hero Association staff members who had been trapped inside an underground shelter. As all of them show their gratitude to him before leaving, Saitama ironically comments on how absolute evil is actually good at saving people. Enraged that he just ain't evil enough yet, Garou attacks Saitama again and soon evolves even further, taking on this sick as fuck demonic type form that has these almost unproportionate looking wings on his back, but it's honestly still fire as While defending against an onslaught from him, Saitama states that Garou has improved a little, which angers the hero hunter, who with a punch knocks him into a currently exploding volcano. Garou immediately charges at Saitama and strikes him with both of his open palms, causing the mountain behind to shatter due to the powerful impact. After the attack, Garou is on his knees and panting, while an unharmed Saitama simply punches him away. Recovering his balance, Garou is impressed that Saitama could withstand the attack that destroyed the volcano behind him. Also hilariously following in the current course of things, Garou has accidentally saved an entire city from being destroyed by the volcano's lava. And again, Saitama notices this random act of so-called kindness and almost taunts him, commenting that Garou has a great hero's instinct, which reminds him a lot of King. Garou grows 2 more arms and continues his onslaught. However, he is now visibly showing signs of panic as he fights back against our Baldy. PS, shout out to all your bald kings out there, like get this video to 50k likes. Honestly, don't even know why I'm saying this right now, which is honestly unachievable for me, and I'll go bald, like, fuck it man, I'll go bald, like, hell, why not, I'll do it for 100k subs, and if this video gets to 50k likes, I'll do it, because hell, Saitama is a goat, man, and I love this arc so much. I've had so much fun reading it. Despite being attacked by the hero hunter, who is using all 4 of his arms, Saitama effortlessly manages to dodge and parries a flurry of Garou's punches with only one hand, while also telling him to just straight up stop fighting, which is a freaking insane burn on him, man. Afterwards, Garou places 2 of his hands on Saitama and takes a form that resembles a jet, while his remaining 2 arms emit energy to act as propulsion. He then follows up with a mighty attack called Extreme Fujin. Garou pushes Saitama into the ground, creating an intense seismic wave that passes directly through the Earth's core. The attack is so freaking immensely powerful that it distorts the space-time around the Earth, moves oceanic plates, and even makes an entire continent raise up from the other side of the planet. It even messes with the magnetic and gravitational fields of the planet, putting it as a whole at risk. Despite all of his efforts, Saitama is still unfazed by Garou's earth-altering attack and retaliates with his infamous consecutive normal punches. As the 2 of them return from Earth's depths, Garou tries to fend off Saitama's flurry of punches, but fails. At this moment, he recalls the abominable fist Sage Centipede had once mentioned and deduces that he was referring to Saitama instead of Garou himself. Our bald king proceeds to punch Garou directly in the face, snapping him back to reality while causing him to crash through several mountains and eventually fall into a massive puddle. As he slowly gets back up, Garou was shocked and angered by Saitama's overwhelming power, viewing him as the embodiment of unfairness. Which, like, he literally is. Like, I'm sorry Goku fans, but this is why Saitama is unbeatable. Like, full stop. The dude is created to never lose in the first place. Goku has lost. The guy's even freaking died. Saitama is literally God at this point. He is insanity incarnate. It's like utterly beautiful and unstoppable. I freaking love it, man. Because of this, Garou charges at Saitama with a punch, refusing to lose to him. However, Saitama punches Garou before he can himself and sends him flying away, destroying Garou's monster form and exposing his true human body that had been buried inside his monster's exoskeleton. As Garou laments being beaten by such unfairness, he hears a voice calling out to him. The voice tells him that there is only one fist that can counter the fist that is turned against God. Everyone's favourite villain then sees an apparition of Bang hovering above him and offering Garou his hand. At the same time, massive storm clouds appear, revealing like, I don't even know what to call this thing, like God's legs or something. All we know is this creature is a 100% on leg day right now. Anyway, with everyone witnessing this, Saitama ominously notes that something is coming. In that moment, he sees Garou leap down from behind to face him once again. Saitama exclaims that Garou changed costumes again, while Garou, having received the power from the one they call God, replies that the only way to counter the fist that is turned against God is the fist of God itself. Like, oh my god, this form is so freaking clean. Like, Murata, you need to chill, man. I'm actually gonna, Anyway, now appearing as a void of stars and galaxies in his new awakened Garou Cosmic Fear mode, he takes a fighting stance and prepares for another round against the one and only invincible hero. Having now gained the knowledge of all of the flow of energy that courses through the universe, as well as the behavior of the forces of the cosmos, Garou utilizes said flow of energy to send a cataclysmic attack towards Saitama called the Life Eradication Fist Mark Nuclear Fission. The attack results in a massive nuclear explosion, which is instantly followed by several more that reach up into the sky as Garou continues to attack, while the surviving heroes, including Psychos, who has emerged since her defeat at the hands of Tatsumaki, stare in amazement and horror at the nuclear blasts exploding nearby. Well, anyway, I think it's kind of sad for our heroes down below, guys. Time for the radiation poisoning. Big rip on them all down there. The heroes below watch the battle between Saitama and Garou, which is obscured by mountainous clouds from Garou's attacks, leaving only their silhouettes briefly visible through flashes of power. Despite the enormous force behind the attacks, Saitama was much more concerned over his outfit, which leaves Garou utterly bewildered. Nevertheless, Garou proclaims that he feels like he can do anything before explaining to Saitama that in martial arts there are secret techniques known as shikai, wherein martial artists can borrow the power of nature by imitating the movements of living things. Garou prefers to address them as modes, since to him they sound cooler that way. He then demonstrates one of these modes, that being Mode Saitama, as Saitama's own face appears in place of Garou's featureless void-like face. Garou duplicates and utilizes Saitama's consecutive normal punches, assaulting the hero with his own technique, prompting Saitama to respond with his own consecutive normal punches. Honestly, this is somehow just the beginning of the true insanity which is about to come. Like, hold on to your damn seats because we're going far out of this freaking world. Their fists collide in an exchange of blows, creating an enormous destructive force that pushes out around them, destroying everything in its path. The exchange of blows ends with Saitama and Garou simultaneously landing a blow to one another's faces, sending them both directly into the water below. Instantly, they both leap back out of the water, with Garou then taunting Saitama on how he must be at a loss for words upon finding someone who could finally match his strength. Saitama though is slightly dismayed as he thinks back to how he promised Tario he wouldn't get scratched. Seeing this and feeling empowered, Garou goes to show Tario how powerless heroes truly are. He begins to charge his body as it is encased in a singularity before unleashing another extremely powerful attack called the Life Eradication Fist Mark Gamma Ray Burst towards Saitama. Okay, like, I'm just going to physically break open the power scaling world for One Punch Man, like, right here. So this Gamma Ray Burst is literally, like, one of the most powerful phenomena in existence. Like, we get this in our own reality. We have evidence Earth was hit by one during the 7th century AD, but it was only, like, a little bit of gamma radiation. People wouldn't have noticed it back then, and it was, like, around 4,000 light years away from Earth, which is an unfathomable amount of distance. If this Gamma Ray Burst happened within a few light years or even a few hundred light years, which is, like, by the way, still an unfathomable distance, it would rip apart our atmosphere, like, instantly and subsequently kill all life on the freaking planet. Now get this, okay, like get this. This gamma ray burst is on the surface of this freaking planet with people right next to it. Like, they should be vaporized instantaneously along with the planet. Like, they shouldn't even be there. Nothing should be there as soon as that ability goes out. But like, the fact they're even there right now makes them naturally the strongest people and the strongest soil in existence, like in anime, full stop. Like, show me another damn series where a plain A grade type hero is able to stand next to a force that would kill all life within a fraction of a second if it happened at the moon's distance from our own Earth. Anyway, I've rambled on for too long. I'm just nerdy as fuck for that science stuff. I absolutely love it. Now, Saitama realizes that if any attack grazes the ground, it would destroy the planet. So in an attempt to save it, he decides to jump high into the air to bring the attack away from the ground. However, Garou thinks he is attempting to dodge it by jumping. Because of this, the attack directly hits and completely engulfs Saitama in a beam of the universe's highest level radiation, sending him off the planet at literally the speed of light itself, if not faster, because that is literally the speeds we are talking about here when a gamma ray burst goes off. Man's ability can technically go faster than light itself. Now, with Big Baldy literally shot into the abyss of space, Garou lands on a pile of debris and confronts the various heroes of the Hero Association that have huddled around together. The remaining heroes immediately realize that the man standing before them was the source of this massive energy explosion just moments before. Only the S-Class heroes remain on the spot while the lower ranks begin to run away in fear. Seeing this, Garou questions if he has finally achieved his ultimate goal of becoming absolute evil. Grateful for the strength he had received, Garou looks into the sky and ominously says, "Thank you." Bang, being one of the heroes who chose to stay rather than run away, confronts Garou and asks if a monster did something to him. Garou then reveals to Bang that he wasn't truly tricked by the entity that approached him earlier, and instead knew all along that the strange figure who took the form of Bang wasn't actually his former master. Regardless, Garou was informed that simply coming into contact with the entity was enough for him to be greatly influenced by it. However, Garou denies that he has become a puppet and states that what he is doing is of his own free will. After making this clear to everyone, Garou decides that it is now time to conduct evil. As Garou approaches the remaining heroes, Child Emperor and Wagan Ma start to bleed from their noses. Moments later, the two children collapse onto the ground, seemingly dead to the effects of Garou's radiation. Despite Garou stating that he is in control of his own actions, Bang still believes that there is something evil within Garou, and that evil is now controlling him. Suddenly, oh yes man, the big man himself, rank 1 S-class hero, Blast, randomly teleports into the area and introduces himself to a surprised Garou. He attempts to reason with Garou, stating that he has been controlled by a mysterious entity known as God, and emphasizes that in Garou's current form, any attack unleashed would endanger all life on Earth. Although Garou still retains his careless demeanor, he is somewhat intrigued by what Blast has just said, and asks what he should do about it. Blast offers to transport Garou into another dimension, but the awakened Garou simply declines the offer, and instead boasts about how his mere presence is now causing people to die, believing that he has finally become the true symbol of fear. Bang attempts to stop Garou from proceeding, but suddenly Genos, who's literally nothing but a damn torso at the moment, uses the remaining bits of power he has left and hurls himself towards the seemingly invincible enemy and headbutts him in the chest, stating that there is another radiation-resistant hero he forgot about. However though, Garou easily grabs the hero by the hair and goes to finish him off, but before he can do anything, Blast intervenes and begins to fight Garou off himself. Blast fires his dimension cannon towards Garou, but the hero hunter quickly dodges the blast while commenting it to be a lame attack, which is, kind of funny because of the hype around Blast. You'd expect him to have these insane abilities, but he's just got like these boxing gloves pretty much. However, a portal appears above Garou and transports him to where Blast is, followed by a powerful punch from Blast called the Gravity Knuckle straight to Garou's face, forcing him to release Genos. Blast summons another portal to where Garou is, and redirects his trajectory to have him meet yet another punch straight to the face. Blast continues this pattern as he rapidly pummels Garou in the face, all the while slowly bringing his portals closer together. Before long, Blast quickly seals the two portals with the intent of sealing Garou within another dimension. However, much to Blast's shock, Garou emerges from a portal of his own making, having mimicked Blast's own powers and techniques. He now wields Blast's Gravity Knuckle in his right hand and his own Life Eradication Fist, Mark, Nuclear Fission in the other. He uses both of these to unleash a rapid barrage of attacks on Blast, doing his best to try and overwhelm the number one hero. This forces Blast on the defensive as he summons multiple teleportation rings to redirect Garou's attacks elsewhere. Another portal is then summoned by Blast above the sky, which absorbs the remaining explosions in order to prevent further destruction to the environment. Nonetheless, the utter force of the attack sends both Garou and Blast shooting away from each other. Noting the extreme energy being put off, Blast fears that if this battle continues for much longer, then not only will the gates that seemingly keep God at bay weaken, but everything on the planet will die from the radiation Garou is emitting. Which, by the way, I'm hella curious as to what these gates could be and how, the hell, can we even get to a bigger level of power from this point? Oh my lord. Garou commends Blast as he sees that he's not the number one hero for nothing, but also immediately realizes something else and decides to shift his focus back onto Saitama. Realizing that the Bald King will soon return and that the hero was not going all out while fighting earlier, Garou decides to kill Genos in order to draw out the full power of Saitama. Garou, then in probably the most heart-wrenching moment in the entire series so far, impales Genos through the chest and rips out his core. Only a second or two later, as Garou holds his heart in his hands, Saitama finally returns back to Earth. As he stands there in pure bewilderment and shock, a black liquid slowly begins to pour down like rain due to the nuclear fallout. Seeing his deadpan expression, Garou taunts him by throwing Genos' depleted core at him. Saitama catches it and stares blankly, remembering Genos' previous words about how he is always on time, denying them by stating that he is usually always late. Saitama, enraged and with a serious expression on his face, unleashes his first serious punch towards Garou, who immediately responds with a serious punch of his own. Having copied Saitama once again, using Mode Saitama, Blast immediately and fearfully realizes that the fallout from the two colliding attacks will completely destroy the Earth. In an attempt to try and save the planet, he summons a portal beneath the two, and just as their fists collide, they are transported way up into space above the upper atmosphere of the Earth. However, the kinetic energy that erupted from their serious punch squared was so powerful that Blast's dimensional gate was unable to sustain it. As Blast comes to the realization that he may be unable to angle the vector of energy away from Earth, 3 of Blast's allies come to his aid, which honestly cracks me up, man. Like, who are these space ass looking ranger goons? Nah, I love the universe expansion stuff for the next arc and so forth. It's great. I can't wait to see like more of this kind of shit. Anyway, with all 4 of them there, they're able to create an opening inside of the barrier that launches Saitama and Garou 43 light minutes away from the Earth, while the shockwave of energy itself is directed in the completely opposite direction, which results in the destruction of like thousands and thousands and thousands of numerous star systems seen in the night sky, which is like literally mental. Like, I don't know where this beam went, but it was probably faster than light itself, and it's probably gone and out the damn galaxy by now. Okay, so the final real battle properly begins now. Like, you guys, this is it. This is the end. We're getting to the very end part of the battle. This is insanity incarnate. Saitama and Garou crash into a celestial satellite revealed to be Lo, one of Jupiter's moons. The two were initially bewildered and confused, but after figuring out their location, Saitama stands above Garou atop a small hill and proclaims that he can finally let loose against someone who can finally withstand his full power. Yet despite that fact, he still doesn't feel the least bit excited to finally go all out. Garou, still annoyed with the current location, suggests that they should find a way to get back to Earth, but Saitama instantly shuts him down and says that they will need to figure it out after he defeats them, stating that he only needs one hand to do so. Unfazed, Garou initiates the fight once more by simply summoning a portal beneath Saitama, only for the caped baldy to casually kick it away, much to Garou's surprise. Then suddenly, in an instant, Garou is rocked by a punch from Saitama, sending him flying off the moon. Garou quickly creates a portal that brings him back to Saitama and attempts to counter with a punch, only for Saitama to flip Garou's portal upside down, thus making Garou hit the air instead, before he is then thumped by yet another punch that sends him rocketing into the floor. Unimpressed, Saitama tells Garou to stop using his cosmic tricks and fight him with his fists, going on to taunt him, asking if these attacks are his so-called ultimate martial arts. Again with the martial arts. Garou, offended by his taunt, obliges, while saying he has absorbed countless martial arts and techniques before he dashes around Saitama with immense speed through multiple portals in an attempt to disorientate him. He first attacks him with roaring awe, sky-ripping fist, then deflects a punch from Saitama with water-streaming, rock-smashing fist, before sending the hero flying with exploding heart release fist, followed by whirlwind, iron-cutting fist, then finally ending the combo with nuclear fission, gravity knuckle, that creates a massive atomic explosion, which is then absorbed into a singularity by the gravity knuckle. Standing amidst the smoke, Garou declares that his fists are unavoidable and that timing is irrelevant regarding his attacks. But to his shock, Saitama once again emerges completely unscathed, save for obviously being completely naked this time, as his costume was completely and utterly destroyed from Garou's attacks. And as he stands there, he replies to the hunter that he can do something very similar. Okay, this here is going to blow your freaking minds. Like, I don't even know why I keep saying this. It's just all going to blow your minds. Like, oh my god, Murata, just stop, man, with the god here. When I read these set of pages for the first time, I like actually collapsed. Oh, this is my favorite set of panels I've ever seen. The scale is utterly unreal, and I've never seen anything portray just how mental this is in such a brilliant and perfect way. So sit back as we all prepare our little monkey brains. Our bald king, the god himself, demonstrates this by digging his fingers into the ground with one hand, let me remind you, with one hand, and unleashes a new attack called Serious Table Flip, before flipping massive amounts of the moon's crust thousands of meters up into the air, taking Garou with it. The attack then utterly decimates the entirety of the freaking moon itself, unraveling it like an orange peel, all while Garou aimlessly and helplessly hurdles high into the air amongst the innumerable number of debris. Suddenly, Saitama dashes around Garou with incredible speed, creating hundreds of after images in the process, before he directs his after images and himself towards Garou simultaneously with another serious series called Omnidirectional Serious Punch. Garou instantly avoids the attack by jumping into a portal, only to see, much to his horror, that Saitama is already directly below him within his own portal he had just freaking opened, and proceeds to punch him with a serious punch. As the hit lands, it sends Garou flying and ricocheting off these slabs of stone, only for Saitama to follow up once again and punch him away as he is about to hit another slab. Saitama dashes around Garou back and forth with immeasurable speed, all while punching him across the entirety of the demolished surface of the moon, creating a full-on geometric surface of light from the intensity of the attacks. Garou then furiously repels Saitama's flurry of attacks with his water stream, rock-smashing fist, and lands on a large slab of debris. Garou attempts to regain his composure while needing to find a way to get above the rocks. He creates a portal only to have his head smashed into another slab of rock. Stunned, Garou realizes that Saitama's attack had completely warped his sense of direction, and now he utterly feels like a caged insect being played with by a child. Before he could react, he is suddenly attacked by another serious punch from Saitama. Garou is aghast by Saitama's limitless strength, but remains steadfast and declares that if he is to win against him, then he will need to continuously replicate his power and technique until he achieves victory. As he does this, he once again enters Mode Saitama before he and the Caped Baldy both punch each other directly in the face. The battle continues as Garou throws a punch through a hyperspace portal that reaches Saitama on the other end, only for Saitama to quickly retaliate with a punch of his own. Instantly, as he is sent hurling backwards from Saitama's punch, Garou creates another portal behind him that redirects him behind Saitama, and uses his momentum to unleash an axe kick onto Saitama's head, only for the latter to simultaneously counter with a punch to Garou's guts. The punch sends Garou back into the portal, with the Hero Hunter then opening another portal and swiping back at Saitama, only to miss as our Bald King jumps backwards. He lands onto a large slab of debris, then leaps downwards with such an immense force that it destroys the slab, and follows with a monstrous karate chop straight to Garou's neck, which in turn devastates the surrounding area around them. The fight escalates as they move and dash about the decimated moon in an exchange of vicious blows. Garou is bewildered at the fact that despite countering him with just as much power, Saitama simply responds with even greater force than before. And yet I remind you, again, with just one hand as well. As Garou performs a powerful punch to Saitama's gut, the latter doesn't flinch and counters with an uppercut that sends Garou flying into the air. It is then explained through the shocked Garou that Saitama's growth in power and strength continuously rises at an exponential rate, with his own strength struggling to keep up, leading him to realize that at this rate he could actually die from one of Saitama's punches. Saitama's strength soars due to an upsurge of emotion from him trying to kill Genos earlier. Garou, now slowly falling behind, dashes around with incredible speed, preparing for an attack. Saitama, meanwhile, only realizes that now his costume had been completely blown off, and it actually started to get cold. An enraged Garou attempts to throw a punch at Saitama, but the Bald King casually grabs it without even looking. Due to the cold, Saitama was about to sneeze, which forces Garou to instinctively evade, and honestly, he's goddamn lucky he chose to, as Saitama unleashes a serious sneeze that not only parts a large portion of the moon's floating debris, but also utterly annihilates and clears an enormous mass of Jupiter's atmosphere and weather system, revealing the small, supposedly solid surface of the planet. Like, this is actually so insane. The utter mass that is on that planet is ridiculous. In actual reality, we don't even know if the surface exists. We haven't even been able to get something down there. I have no idea how to even scale the force of this ability. Like, it's so freaking unfathomable to me. It's that insane. The display of power leaves Garou in shock, all the while they rocket away from the moon and Jupiter due to the force of Saitama's sneeze. As they soar through space, Garou notices the sun, then using his enhanced vision and perception, he is able to make out a clear vision of the Earth, which allows him to teleport there. Just before doing so, in an attempt to escape, he threw a nuclear fission punch directly at Saitama, giving him the opportunity to escape and finally return to Earth via his portal. After escaping, Garou celebrates his return and presumed victory, only to instantly discover, to his horror, that Saitama was already right behind him, complementing his last move. Bewildered, Garou questions Saitama on how he managed to return, to which Saitama replies by saying that the coldness of space had given him such a stomachache, and while he was initially holding it in, Garou's last attack surprised him and made him literally shit himself back through Garou's portal. As the fight now kicks back off, Saitama punches Garou directly in the face and sends the two rocketing back down towards Earth's surface. As they crash land, our Baldy's punch shatters Garou's Mode Saitama, leaving him with his normal human face, now appearing battered and bruised. Seemingly defeated now, Garou asks why Saitama won't kill him. Our hero responds that it is because he is a hero, and in addition to that, it was also Tario's final request to stop him without killing him. Garou pauses when he hears the words final request, and sadly, as he looks over to his side, he sees Tario's dead body, who had succumbed to the radiation earlier on. Garou screams in utter despair, but quickly attempts to run away upon realizing that he was too close to Tario, but stumbles and falls to the ground. Seeing Tario's dead body, as well as the Earth's desolate landscape, Garou sorrowfully realized that he indeed is that ominous future. Saitama standing there only wonders why Garou has been acting so strange ever since he first appeared in his cosmic fear mode, which, for those who are confused, is like the moment that the God Bang mofo showed up and gave him some power, I guess. Curious, Saitama asks if someone truly did make him the way he is now, but Garou only solemnly replies that if that is the case, then it was because his spirit was weak. I honestly love Garou's character development throughout this fight and just the series in general. It's really good, and I recommend anyone just to go back and read the entire point from the moment he comes in, because he's like the main character from that moment to probably right up till now. Garou continues to despair as he sees that if he cannot beat Saitama, then he can never truly become absolute evil. Even so, Garou would have been satisfied if Saitama killed him the way he envisioned heroes killed all of their villains, and that way, his legacy of being true evil would linger onward. Moreover, he only meant to save the likes of Tario with his ideals, but Saitama cuts him off and says that Garou only clung to Tario for support. Garou was prepared to angrily retort, but upon seeing that Saitama was still holding onto Genos' core, he realized that even him, with all of his insane power and strength, still needs something that would help him hold on to reality and keep fighting. When Saitama asks Garou what he's going to do now, Garou somberly asks Saitama for a favor. The favor involves Garou wanting Saitama to copy his martial arts, knowing that Saitama will be able to use them to their fullest potential with his limitless power. Garou will pass on his most powerful martial arts technique, which he has not performed even with God's power at his disposal. So I guess with all of my memeing on the martial arts, it's a cheeky one that saves the day. Saitama then agrees, and Garou prepares to transfer his ultimate technique to Saitama, as he knows that he would be the only person able to resist God using its own power. Suddenly, the one they call God silences Garou and begins to siphon his power and life, which subsequently begins to make Garou's body break down into salt, which is kind of random, man, why salt? As Garou fully transfers the cosmic rays within himself into Saitama, he says his final words to the caped baldy, stating that he is the only one who can truly defeat the impending ominous future that is awaiting him before he fully perishes and his body crumbles into salt. Okay, Takamichi, please sit down. Now we got Saitama time traveling back for his bestie. As time travels backwards in time, Saitama sees all of the instances of their battle and is left in utter amazement at the beauty of Garou's technique. When he spots the moment when Garou declares himself as that ominous future to the heroes of the Hero Association, Saitama takes this as his cue and punches through it. Back in reality, as Garou looks at the sky, thanking the god that had just given him the strength, randomly and literally out of freaking nowhere, Saitama appears and thumps Garou with an infinitely strong hook to his freaking dome. It's explained that because of the insanity of the training Saitama's punch underwent on the moon, it had gifted him the ability to technically reverse time and thus land his strike before it even released. And reverse causality is impossible to dodge. Thus, it was not one punch that decided the fight. No, it was a zero punch. As the present heroes watch in amazement, a shocked Garou realizes that his power is beginning to escape his wounded body. So yeah, if anyone is how the fuck is he able to go from not dying from one of Saitama's attacks to just randomly dying from a punch? Obviously it was the infamous zero punch where he literally reverse time with it and everything, but pretty much Saitama is just physically something else now. He's way past Garou before his moon buff, so you can imagine what the Saitama is like now, hitting Garou, who doesn't even have the moon buff of strength from growing during the fight. Anyway, the future Saitama is then instantly pulled towards his past self, and after they make contact, they become one, with the soul Saitama now holding Genos' core from the future. Confused as to what happened, Saitama only recalls being hit by Garou's gamma ray burst. which is kind of sad. I wish Saitama kind of like remembered everything, or like somewhat remembered everything, but you'll see why in a second. As he looks down, he is initially shocked to see himself holding the depleted core of his best boy Genos in his hands. He instantly receives an even greater surprise when he sees a hole in his costume exactly in the location where his 12-inch king level size snake is at. Suddenly, out of nowhere and following on the path of the fight that had previously happened in the old timeline, Saitama is rammed by Genos as he shoots through the air. The disciple apologizes for getting carried away, but Saitama is instead surprised to see him still, actually alive. Okay, so that is the end of the fight, but I'm not going to blue balls here on the aftermath, because for some people that's, like always the best part, getting to see, what happens to like people and everything after the fight. Pretty much, Garou is back to his naughty old self and actually manages to escape away from all of the heroes. So it's super dope, like he's back to his normal human Garou, wanting to be monster dude and like all that kind of stuff. He's going to show up probably from times to times and accidentally save things, which would be like a funny gimmick I would say in the future, because that was like this weird gimmick when that was him before he got taken over by obviously the one they call God. And obviously he's not going to rise up to the same state he was beforehand, because he knows Saitama is around and he will never be able to beat Saitama. So it's like that's just there. In terms of, does Saitama know what the fuck just happened? And well, like, yeah, he does. After he gives the core to Genos and plugs it in, Genos reveals everything to him, but Saitama, it goes in one ear and out the other, as we, like, we all know what Saitama's like. But it's super, super, like, heartfelt in a way that we get to see all of the insane feats and everything are only kind of known through Genos' point of view, as like that was the whole point of the battle, was for Saitama to like seek revenge almost on him killing Genos, and for him to like, yeah, save planet Earth and everything. But he was trying to save his boy, like he had to make sure he defeated the villain so that he could get back and plug in the guy's heart. And then this just happens to happen because things get so out of hand that I guess the only way to make sure that the Earth is like manageable to like bring back to reality is literally by reversing time. They're still gonna have massive like ruined thing, like there's gonna be radiation everywhere that they have to clean up, and there's a new entire continent on the other side of the planet that they forced out from one of the attacks. But yeah, things like their star systems missing and stuff, they still all exist in the future. Because I'd imagine there's probably people from those star systems that just got instantly wiped out by this beam that came out of nowhere. That finally brings us to the very end of this fight, that is Garou v Saitama. Well, obviously, if you guys have enjoyed the video and want to see more stuff just like this in the future, then hit that subscribe button down below, and also be sure to hit that like button. If you want to see me lose my hair, which, I highly doubt we're actually going to hit 50,000 likes, but if we do, then I will shave it off even in the future. I'll come back and shave it off for a video or some random thing like that. Obviously, leave a comment down below as well, what kind of series and all that kind of jazz you want me to go over in the future. I've got the 2 Jujutsu Kaisen arcs that I'm going to try and get out within the next like kind of 2 weeks before I go away. But anyway, enough of that. If you guys do want to like support me more, then make sure to check out my Patreon, which I will leave, down in the description below. And thank you to all of my Patreons who have been supporting me for the last like almost 9 months now, since I made, like my Patreon back then. So thank you so much for all of the support from everyone in general. And thank you for 85,000 subs. I'm pretty sure like we're either about to hit it today or we hit it already. The growth has been like phenomenal with like obviously Chainsaw Man and that almost coming out now. We've got a little bit to go, but I can't wait till that does get out. But yeah, thank you for that as well. But for now, it's been your professional degenerate Diavolo, and I'll see you all in a bit.